Hi, Cancer. Welcome to your October reading. All right, here we go. Oh my God. The major question, let's start there. The major question that we're asking as Cancer, Cancer rising, and to a certain extent, even Cancer moon in October is it real or is it a fantasy? Now for those of you who choose to spend most of October living in a fantasy and not wanting to see the truth, it can hit you pretty hard. October is not pulling any punches with you. But at the same time, it's really making your dreamy nature go all the way overboard. The combination can get painful. And the Ten of Swords is telling us just that. We may feel like we are back to square one when it comes to certain coping mechanisms, certain self-medicating habits, and even, most probably, bad, unproductive mental patterns from the past. Now, it doesn't matter how much you regret the past, and it doesn't matter how much you don't want to go back there. You're not even focused on the past. It's not about that. Whatever this thing is, even if it's from the past, you're bringing it into your reality, or very much would like it in your reality. And October is going to show you whether that's a pipe dream or whether it's possible. The way you react to that truth is where the real meaning of this reading lies. No matter what you find out, and there's only really two things you can find out here, is what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what your instinct keeps screaming to you. Is it true? Or is it a fantasy? Is it in your head? Regardless of what you find out, it's easy to get thrown into this spiral. Let's say you find out it's real. It is how you think it is. You think you're just going to move forward with that information? Or is that going to stress you just as much as if it wasn't real? Either way, you're going to feel like you're starting from square one. You're going to want to lean in to your coping mechanisms. And you may very well slip into some old thought patterns that up until now you thought you had left behind. Cancerians often don't realize that not being in a relationship is not healing from a relation, is not healing the relationship part of you. Isolation doesn't heal that part of you. You need to go out there in the world and be around people and perhaps not go all in all at once so you can learn how to mitigate. But it's not very much in the Cancerian nature. So there's only so far you can ask someone to go outside of their comfort zone, especially when you're talking about Cancerians, because your comfort zone is really, for the most part, the only comfort you find. So to mess with that, it's not so nice. But here we are, and this all kicks off with Mercury going direct in Virgo, where it is right now. It's retrograded back from Libra. It's in Virgo now. It will go direct in Virgo on October 2nd. And if you're a Cancer rising, that's your third house. So that weird gap that you've been feeling between you and your family, it finally starts to subside. Whatever in the home has been lacking, even if it's been a long time, you're starting to get this feeling that it's coming back. You're not feeling the lack anymore. Even if you don't see the thing or the person yet, you're not feeling the lack anymore. Now, how does that fit with what I was saying earlier about the fantasy and the reality? Well, it fits completely, because you can feel that way. You can feel like something is coming in, some form of abundance or love or presence is coming in. That doesn't necessarily mean that it is the way you think it is. That's really what the truth telling is going to be about. It's your version of whatever. Is it a fantasy or is it a reality? On October 2nd, you start to feel that home life becoming more secure, becoming more stable, more smooth, and you do feel this stability and abundance starting to come in, even if you can't see it yet. So that's very different. That's very different from any daydreams that you may be having, right? And I know that sounds harsh. I know how that feels, but that's exactly what this energy wants you to feel. It wants you to have these sort of hard reality knocks that will finally get you out of a pretty terrible pattern, TBH, yeah? And to top it all off, we have this guilt. Oh, of course. What did we think? Who did we think was behind all this? On top of all that, you've got Mars in Gemini. So again, for Cancer rising, that's your 12th house. Okay? And at the end of the month, it's going to go retrograde. Haha. So, you know that moment you've been looking for to really make the big questions happen, really make the big changes, get all philosophical about all of this? You know that moment you've been waiting for, where you can ask the big questions, because that's where you know you can win over this? You'll get your chance. You'll get your shot. There's a full moon in Aries, and on October 9th, during that full moon, the only thing that will be on your mind is what your purpose is. Why are you here? And this will begin to look either extremely illuminating as to what your purpose is, or it will begin to look like a complete distraction, and it will scare you. Either way, it does seem like some earth energy source of attraction / misery would love to once again put you into a state of attraction / misery. Again, what's new? Continuing, let's move forward. Now, on October 23rd, Saturn will go direct. Now think about that. You've had these things that you've been worried about, especially money-wise, tax-wise, things that maybe you should have been working on since June, but you just couldn't. Well, you did the right thing. You can start working on them as of the 2nd. And as of October 23rd, so much of it clears up, and it ends up being so much less stressful than you thought. Remember a couple months ago when you were like, oh no, what is going on? It's not that bad. And it all resolves itself, inshallah, and you feel really keyed in. You feel that power of staying calm and letting the universe work things out. You feel it give you some security, a little bit of steel in your spine, you know? On October 11th, Mercury will join Venus and the Sun in Libra. There's a lot of good news coming in after the 11th. And I know that right now, with everything we've just talked about, that may seem like a contradiction in terms, but it's not. It's a different kind of good news. It's the kind of good news you really need. It's the kind of news that you get after you are disillusioned and you realize, oh wow, this is so much better than what I was imagining. And the good news continues to pour in, because as of the 24th, water signs are activated. The Sun and Venus will move into Scorpio, and you'll feel it right away. And then the new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio will be on the 25th, the very next day. And you will feel this intense heightening of that sympathy you can have for others. You'll feel an intense heightening of that sympathy for yourself, for what you've been through, for what people have put you through, what people have done to you. And if you were waiting for somebody to get in touch with you, and you've just been like sickly stubborn about it, and so have they. Them, along with quite a few other people, will be reaching out to you. If you have been stubborn, if you have held your ground, if you have not taken the bait, if you have just seemingly moved on and focused on yourself, you reap the rewards of getting a lot of attention from a lot of people. Because you're finally breaking the mold in their mind of you being needy or needing or wanting them. And the energy is shifting to them wanting and pursuing you. It's not even about who does the wanting and pursuing, it's about who retains power. And you're learning how to do that. Once Scorpio has all this attention, right? Because then on the 30th, Mercury will move into Scorpio as well. Actually, on the 20... Yeah, I think it's the 20... Hold on, let me just check. Yeah, on the 30th. On the 30th, Mercury will move into Scorpio as well, and it becomes a really romantic time. But again, it's all flowing to you. So I know sometimes you guys get stressed like, oh God, what do I have to do? Do I have to do anything? No, you don't have to do anything. Really, that first row is all you have to do. If you just focus there, everything else will sort itself out. And then on the 30th, Mars will go retrograde, like I said, right behind you. There are things that want to come out, things that need to be talked about, things that need to be cleared up, and it's been way too long. And you've kept it together and held it together as long as you could, perhaps more so than you would have, because you live under this banner of being too emotional, too clingy, too, all of it. So you have you have allowed a lot more than most, just to, work against that reputation. But these things that need to be talked about, these things that are held too close and they eat at us, Those things have to get out. They have to come out. And around the 11th, there's no real way to keep it out. And after the 30th, when Mars goes retrograde, all we can do is think about what has come out. But none of it is negative. It all is super positive because it frees you from yet another thing that was keeping you weak, keeping you small, and you're neither. And when you look at it in that way, it just seems right on time. Totally what you need. Tailor-made for you. Uncanny. So embrace it. Even the tense externals who don't deserve you, embrace it. Embrace all of it. Know that this is one of those months where you can really feel and see how the hologram is just a reflection of you. Now, in the extended, Let's talk more about that Mars retrograde. Let's talk about this strange streak of adventure that finds you all throughout October, weaved in with all these other things. Okay? Let's talk about the meaning, that supreme truth that you come to mid-month. What is the meaning? What am I doing here? Is there a meaning? Is there a purpose? Or am I doing something purposeless? We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in the extended. The extended will be available below. There are links to a monthly subscription on Patreon, a single link where you can buy the single extended video, and then a Vimeo link for those of you who prefer it. There's also a link for personal readings. I love you.